back to the Four Hauntsmen. This is season 2, episode number 2. We're here today with Paul,
woo,
Joey,
woo woo,
and a special guest for Hauntsman returning to the show, Mr. Johnny Bronto from HauntScene.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's good to be back. It's good to be
Johnny.
called up from the bench.
Yeah, it's, Johnny is like the Hauntsman in reserve.
Yeah.
It's all right.
I went to add him to the
guys
call, and it said last spoken to over a year ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Over a year ago?
Oh, my God, really?
Yeah, I guess it was before Halloween Horror Nights started that we talked to you.
Oh, that was the episode where I went on my love letter to independent haunt diatribe.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Sure.
My desperate plea to get people to do independent haunts that failed.
Did it work?
No, because we lost like 4 of them.
So maybe don't
times.
have that diatribe this year. You're bad for business, Johnny.
I'm sorry. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, it was all my fault, really.
For those folks that are not familiar with HauntScene, give us your spiel.
All right, so HauntScene, we're on all the social medias. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, hauntScene.com. We do a lot of Horror Nights coverage, but we also mainly focus on independent haunts. So I'm pretty good with all the haunters in Florida, and so we'll be doing all that stuff again. And we're actually going to be doing some road trips this year, so excited about getting out and doing new things.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So in the Hauntsman agenda, we're going to talk about what do we plan on doing this year. We could shuffle things around a little bit.
Let's do it.
When you're talking about hitting places out on the road, where are you planning on hitting?
Well, I mean, I'll probably hit the Staple Up in the Central Florida area, hit up all my friends. We already have that scheduled out, like Amos Descents or Henry's. Some of the haunts closed last year, so they won't be there. Screamageddon. I think what we're going to do that's new is we're going to go back down to Boca Raton or South Florida and do Enigma again because it was awesome. It's about 3 hours away from Central Florida. And Fright Nights at the South Florida Fairgrounds. That looks fun. I've never been to Jacksonville before, so they've got a couple new things there. Warehouse 31 Unleashed, which I've heard some pretty good feedback on. Very cool people. 13th Floor, I guess, is opening up a new location there. And also I just started talking to somebody, the Torment Factory in Gainesville. So beyond that, I think at some point I'm going to go to the proverbial mecca of haunts, which is going to be Netherworld in Atlanta. And at some point, if I do a road trip, I might hit up, I might actually go all the way up to Michigan, where I'm originally from, and do Erebus. So we got lots of stuff to do this year.
That is quite the forecast. I think the problem with hitting some of these places, especially the local places, is that not all of them are open weekdays. Mm-hmm. And that, for planning purposes, gets to be problematic.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, with the pass that I get for Horror Nights, I usually don't get the one that has Saturdays, like the Ultimate Pass. So Saturdays are typically my night to go out and do other things. But I might actually be skipping a week or two of Horror Nights and doing like a week-long road trip and trying to squeeze in as much as possible. After going to Transworld and after doing like the Darkness and the haunts in St. Louis, it just really opened my eyes, and there's a lot more stuff to do out there because Darkness is amazing.
Darkness is supposedly one of the best, isn't it?
It was. My eyes hurt the next day. My eyes literally hurt because I had them peeled wide open. I didn't want to leave. Like, it took me... It was like the opposite of Horror Nights. Like, instead of going through the house in about 35 seconds, I was able to spend like a good minute or two in like every scene, and if Disney World put money into a haunt and spent a ton of money, that's exactly what Darkness was. And no offense to Darkness, but I hear Netherworld's like the standard for the big dollar haunts. So Darkness was amazing. So if you're ever in St. Louis, make sure you do that.
Yeah, as far as Netherworld, we wanted to get to that last year. We failed. I want to get there. They've relocated this year to a new site, so I'm not that I've been to the other one, but I'm very anxious to get there this year. That's kind of like the place that I've stuck a pin in. Joey, where are you planning on hitting?
I'm going to California end of October for 2 weddings, and it was between, Hollywood Horror Nights was kind of at the bottom of the list, but Delusions out there, which is actually going to December now, and that's the one that was about an hour long, interactive theater, special effects, stuntmen, the whole thing. They do it every year. They actually have like a VR, I don't know, I call it a game, but kind of like an experience right now you can download. That was a close second, but we are going to Warner Brothers. Like, that is happening. Even if I have to skip the wedding, I'm going.
Yeah, I'm going for 2 weddings and Warner Brothers, or perhaps Warner Brothers and maybe some weddings.
I'm going to the bathroom and I'll be right back.
Yeah.
So, Paul, you're situated a little bit more central East Coast. Where are you planning on hitting?
Well, clearly, I'm going to go to Halloween Horror Nights this year. I'll be there opening weekend. I am also very likely, I shouldn't say very likely, it's pretty much guaranteed because it's included in the cost of my annual pass, going to Busch Gardens Howl-O-Scream this year, especially it's the 20th anniversary, new houses, all sorts of new goodies. So I'll be going there. Outside of that, I will... This year, I think last year I skipped it, but this year I think I am going to try to get back up to Six Flags up in Washington, D.C. area. They put on a really solid event. Their Fright Fest is a lot of fun. They have a decent amount of houses, and I do enjoy going to that. So I'm going to try to hit that one again this year. As far as anything else, it's a limited number of weekends. I'd like to get out to King's Dominion, because I haven't been there in a number of years either. And if I'm going to be up in DC area, maybe I'll see what kind of haunts they have up there, because I went to a couple last year that I enjoyed out in the Maryland area. How about you, Kyle?
Awesome. Well, we're looking at least at one road trip for Scarezones, like one day, and Six Flags Georgia for Fright Fest the next day. We actually already bought our passes for Six Flags to be able to experience the daytime stuff in the very near future, and then be able to go back for the Fright Fest stuff. We do want to get to Netherworld. We did some stuff in Jacksonville last year. We'd like to go back to Jacksonville. One of the most fun things that we've ever done was kind of this laser tag or high-end laser tag type shooting at the Budweiser factory in Jacksonville last year, and killing zombies at that location. Very well done. The rest of the event, not so awesome, but looking maybe that'll pick up this year. But I know that they have some other haunts happening over in that area, so we want to be able to get there too. Who knows, maybe we'll see the HauntScene crew there. We seem to see them everywhere. And of course, Howl-O-Scream, Halloween Horror Nights, and Petrified Forest, and some of the local guys that we like, in the area. So that's at least what's on the agenda for Cheap Seats for this coming season. It's tough, when you're working during the week and you want to be able to hit some of these places. Like I said, like if they don't open other than like Saturday night and Sunday night, or Friday night, it becomes problematic, especially when road trips are involved. So yeah, we'll see.
We're talking 6-7 weeks, and if you've paid for the Halloween Horror Nights pass, it's hard. It's hard to fit it all in. But I do try to hit something every weekend, and there is around here. We've got a number of them.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about stuff closer to home here. We've got Universal Orlando Halloween Horror Nights updates. So the last time that we recorded, we talked about the full run of houses that were announced and zones that were announced, as well as stuff that was speculated, but we did have 2 more zones confirmed since the last time that we recorded, one of which was the Killer Klowns from Outer Space, and also I don't know, what is the Chucky Scare Zone called other than Chucky Scare Zone? Is there an official name to that?
Revenge of Chucky.
Of course. How could I forget?
I don't know. What's wrong with you, Kyle?
So...
Yeah, I don't know about this one. I mentioned this on social media the other day that I'm not the biggest Killer Klowns fan. I haven't seen it in a good 20 years, so I just probably need to give it another shot. But I will admittedly say I think I said on our last episode that I thought Killer Klowns wouldn't necessarily be a scare zone because of the costumes would be problematic to have outdoors, because, I mean, everything's kind of like giant prosthetics. And they proved me wrong. It is going to be a scare zone.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like an audition now. Basically, you're a scare zone first. If you make the cut, you're on the team the next year.
Yeah,
if you guys were interested and you haven't seen it in a while, or if you have never seen it, Killer Klowns is actually free for viewing on Hulu right now too. So, you know, you don't have to pay to buy it or anything. You can check it out on Hulu.
Oh, maybe I'll do that. But I'm excited about Chucky. I like Chucky. I think a Chucky scare zone would be cool. I remember when Universal did a Chucky house. I don't remember what year that was. It was the same year as Catacombs or something like that. I don't know. It was, but I don't know. It's been a number of years, but they did a Chucky house one year, and I enjoyed it. So a Chucky scare zone is just fun. I think it'll be fun.
Chucky is awesome, dude. I mean, and like we've said in prior videos, prior podcasts rather, Chucky brings people to the park. You know, and people underestimate the value of Chucky, I think, for like a horror event. And, you know, people light up when they see him. And, you know, I get the impression that it's going to be, you know, we'll at least have one Chucky. This is the same thing that we wondered last year about Trick or Treat. You know, how many Sams are you going to have in that zone? And with Chucky, I'd imagine you probably have one or two, maybe one on either end. You know, maybe they'll do. I haven't seen any word of it, but I see rumblings of it online, similar to what they did in Hollywood, which Joey has mentioned before in the past, you know, with kind of like that insulting type Chucky at one end of the zone. So maybe they'll do that. But I'm interested in the other toys that they described that are going to be part of that zone also, that are kind of like demonic or possessed or, you know, horrific. It should be fun.
That actually does remind me. So I just looked it up. It was Halloween Horror Nights 19 that had the Chucky house. And that had like Green Army Men and I think like teddy bears and stuff like that. Like it wasn't just Chucky that was evil. So they might be recycling some of those ideas. And maybe not the Green Army Men. That seems like it might infringe on another property that has Green Army Men, you know, right down the street. But I don't know. Regardless, I'm excited about Chucky. How about you, Johnny?
You know, my initial impression of it was like, okay, so we're just going to have a bunch of Chuckies run around with Tiffany's. And once the explanation, the description of the actual scare zone came out, I felt a little bit better about it. I like Chucky. I believe I've seen all the movies. Sometimes when they start getting direct to video, they might have slipped one in there that I've never seen. But I saw the most recent one, definitely. I'm excited for this. I would really like, and I think that they had a job opening for puppeteers, so I think it'd be really cool if they brought that Insult Emporium to Orlando. That would be a lot of fun. I mean, Child's Play is kind of cool. It's not really like top of my horror list, but I think it's going to be fun. And then Killer Klowns. I will admit, I was a complete poser. I did not see Killer Klowns till like about a month ago, and I didn't really understand the appeal because certain people would bring that up all the time. Oh, Killer Klowns, Killer Klowns, Killer Klowns, and I saw it, and you know, it was fun. I'm just looking forward to seeing how they do it. I think it'll be like more of a fun scare zone, kind of like Invasion last year. Because the clowns themselves aren't, unless you're like claustrophobic, I don't think they're inherently scary. But I think the scenic wise might be pretty cool, having the candy cane people, and not candy cane, the cotton candy people. There we go. Sorry. Thank you for that. But yeah, I think I'm looking forward to both. I think it's going to be a good time.
Joey.
I want Chucky. I mean, well, you said you saw the straight to video one, right? Called the Chucky?
Yes.
So me, you, and the 8 other people in the world that actually saw it, if we went, we would understand why there could possibly be multiple just Chuckies running around, you know, nothing else. That probably won't happen, but I would prefer just to be, I mean, in a perfect world, I want nothing but kind of like a little good guy doll factory with all the creepy Chuckies in the box just staring at you and a couple of evil ones jumping out. I'm not really big on the whole teddy bears.
I loved that video, by the way.
Which one?
The one, there was like a video where it was in an actual store. And
yeah, dude.
Guy doll. Yeah,
that was
fun.
the best.
Oh yeah. I would say like that's what I want, and then for the killer clowns, like I was with Paul, I think last week when we were both saying like it's not going to happen, so I was wrong. I think it looked cool. I'm just really curious where it's going to be. I hope it's not in Springfield, just because it's.
No, it's. I thought it was towards like San Francisco, unless I'm getting this stuff mixed up.
No, I think it's going to be Hollywood.
That's Chucky.
Chucky.
Yeah, he's talking about the Killer Clowns one.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Sting Alley by where the Starbucks is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to put it in front of Fast and Furious because Fast and Furious will be open and it'll be a real bad choke point, like probably even more than it normally is. Because I would imagine that Fast and Furious is probably going to be pretty busy. For the people that haven't ridden it yet.
Like me. So Joey just mentioned Cult of Chucky, and before we move on to our next topic, I do want to mention Cult of Chucky and why I haven't seen it, even though I love Chucky movies. So when Cult of Chucky was coming out, I told Jen, I'm like, Jen, I'm going to get you all caught up. We're going to watch all 6 of the prior Chuckies, or 5 of the prior Chuckies. 6 of the Chuckies leading up to Cult of Chucky. And so she got through 1. 1 was good. She liked part 2. Part 3 she didn't like. No one likes part 3. And then we got to Bride of Chucky. And she got to the doll sex scene. And she says, I'm out. I'm done. I can't do any more of these. And so I haven't had an opportunity to see Cult of Chucky. Because I was trying to make it a joint effort. But now I think I'm just going to have to go ahead and watch it by myself. But I did buy like the Blu-ray box set to see them all because I wanted the unrated version, not the one that they have on Netflix.
Did you show her Seed of Chucky?
No, I if she couldn't handle Bride of Chucky, I knew she wouldn't be able to handle Seed of Chucky.
That one's the worst. But the last 2, I mean, the straight to video ones are a lot darker.
Yeah, I liked the one.
The first 2.
I don't remember what I think it was Curse of Chucky. That one I really liked. I just haven't seen Cult of Chucky yet.
It's about as good as Curse.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably on the same level.
I'm sure I'll watch it before in preparation for Halloween Horror Nights this year. But one of the things we wanted to talk about is, which we didn't really get to last time. We had mentioned that there would be 10 houses, but there's this mystery 10th house that I think we wanted to speculate on what this potential 10th house could be. If it's an IP or an original property, like, where is it going to be? 10 houses is significant. And I'm going to ask this question, and you guys are going to probably, because you guys know more than me and live down there and hear rumors and stuff. Are they doing anything with that empty Terminator building as it relates to Halloween Horror Nights?
No, I haven't heard anything about that. They're putting some other franchise in there.
Yeah, according to the annual pass holder group who was in the know, someone heard from a janitor there is a Jason Bourne attraction going in there.
Oh man,
soon.
I heard that too from my friend in creative.
Who's also a janitor on his part now.
He's a creative janitor.
Well, I'm not sure where the 10th thing is going to go. As far as what I've heard for the 10th house, I think what constantly keeps getting pushed out there in Rumorville is that we're due to see a Halloween type property, not Halloween the holiday, but the movie franchise for the 10th house. Although we keep hearing that it wouldn't happen because of the distribution rights. So even though it's a Blumhouse movie, it still has some affiliation, I think, with New Line Cinema or whoever the distributor is that wouldn't allow it to Dimension. That would that wouldn't allow it to occur. So I'm thinking that's why we haven't heard much about it. Although I haven't heard much more, since rumors in the wind.
Yeah, the rights for Halloween are all screwed up. Halloween 2 was relatively easy, but Halloween's 4 and 5, I think those are Anchor Bay. I don't remember who owns the rights to those.
Oh, yeah, it was might have been Anchor Bay. I remember it was like a blue logo. Yeah, it might have been Anchor Bay.
And everything since 6 has, the Dimension stink on it. So, I love Halloween, so if they throw Michael Myers in there, I'm on board. That's my favorite franchise.
Yeah, I mean, it's been rumored, but the one thing that strikes me as odd is if they released that trailer, which was pretty awesome for the new Halloween, and that would have been like the perfect opportunity to announce the house, and that went and passed. So I don't know.
I feel like with that house, almost like it's going to spoil the movie if you go through it beforehand, or I don't know. I wonder if that had anything to do with it, like getting access to the script, or
yeah. I mean, they've had issues with that before, with the Dracula Untold and the Wolfman, the one with Benicio del Toro. It seems like when they try to release the house before the movie comes out, it just doesn't really connect with folks.
Yeah, and they had that issue with the Insidious part of Blumhouse last year.
Oh, that's right. And in the last room in that Saw house that was supposedly inspired by the most recent Saw movie.
Yeah,
that's true. Yep. Yeah.
So maybe we don't have a good track record of that.
But you know what I don't think is going to be there? I can say with some relative confidence that I don't think we'll be seeing it or Nightmare on Elm Street as part of Universal Orlando Halloween Horror Nights this year.
And why is that?
Because
segue.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Because of segue.
Warner Brothers, the Warner Brothers Studio Tour has announced that their Horror Comes Home event is not just like last year they had the It walkthrough, but this year they announced that they're going to have It and an Arkham Asylum walkthrough, and just since the last time we recorded, they've announced that other properties are coming, and Mr. Joey noticed that there's a certain Frederick Krueger in the concept art that they released online.
And Conjuring, too.
Yeah, Conjuring. They've been hinting heavily at that, but if you look at the concept art, on the right side, right underneath the Batmobile and Arkham entrance, you see Freddy Krueger kind of walking around the crowd. So, and they said the other day, there was an IGN article, and they mentioned they're going to announce more houses throughout the summer, and I'm guessing at that Midsummer Scream, and then tickets go on sale August 1st. So.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to go to California this year.
Well, yeah, I mean, this agenda for our show is all over the place here today, but that is true. So that's one of the things we wanted to talk about was that Warner Brothers is, they've been announced that they're going to be at Midsummer Scream. They have a panel. Paul and I are going out there, and in the Hall of Shadows, which is like 2 million square feet of places, different places to go to. I think there's like 10 million haunts out there. But all kidding aside, it's like 20 different experiences that are going to be part of this. I think it's at like 76,000 square feet. I don't know, maybe
it's basically this. I mean, like half of the convention center is taken up with this Hall of Shadows, where you're going to have miniature haunted houses. Six Flags. What's the one out there?
Magic Fest. They said, yeah,
Magic Mountain.
Yeah, they're going to have a scare zone out there, and. They're going to have some props and stuff, I think, from the Warner Brothers Studio Tour. But yeah, there'll be a panel. And, that is just a couple days before tickets go on sale. So it would be kind of sweet if they had some type of something there, final announcement, something like that.
And, as far as the props, we get to see a lot of the stuff that's going to be involved in that It house. At least that's like their sell point now. So
I got to tell you, I am so freaking psyched about the Batman house. Like I am trying to figure out if there's a way I can get out there, because I'm like, I have been saying for you, like, I would love that. That's like my two loves combined. So that I'm excited about that.
They just said I didn't even state the other day. It's based off the Arkham City or Arkham series, the games. Mm-hmm. So I'm really, really, I'm running through that. We're buying the VIP unlimited passes for that night. I don't care how much they are.
So Warner Brothers in California, clearly they've got the rights to It. So, I know we had some comments on the last podcast, and messages and notes even on the YouTube version where, folks were telling us that we were wrong, that It is definitely coming to Universal Orlando because so-and-so has said so. It's not the case. And I think going forward, the IPs that are selectable for Universal become increasingly more narrow. Between Warner Brothers putting their own properties out, if this is a success for them this year, I'd expect the event to get expanded even further for Warner Brothers, as well as the Fox properties being taken off the table through the Disney deal. So,
yeah,
depending on where you're sitting, on what side of the fence, for whether you like IPs or you like original houses at Universal, if you're a fan of old school originals, this is a good thing.
Yeah. I think you can kiss away or say goodbye to, obviously, Freddy, Jason, Leatherface, those were all New Line, so those would be gone. Conjuring.
Yeah, and all the things that come with the Conjuring too.
Yep.
Annabelle, The Nun, Crooked Man.
But I also look at the fact that they're not exactly. I mean, with Batman Arkham, Batman's not horror related at all. Batman's awesome, but they're not afraid to go to their other IPs that they have, and they have the biggest library of films. I mean, television, everything. So, what's to stop them from getting something not necessarily horror related, but amazing for like an action or sci-fi or just something to make no one else is going to do.
Yeah, I mean, they've got license. I mean, they could do Dementor's house or something like that. Warner Brothers technically owns the rights for Harry Potter. Yes, I know Universal has Harry Potter as a theme park, so maybe that's a conflict there. But they certainly have a lot available to them. And one of the years I regret not going to Halloween Horror Nights, and I think it was the year before the first year I went. I think it was Horror Nights 12, maybe. Was the year they had the Spider-Man themed haunted house, the Maximum Carnage.
Oh, Carnage! Yeah,
yeah, and they had like the supervillain island that took over Marvel Superhero Island. This was back when it was in Islands of Adventure, and man, I would have loved that. That's right up my alley. So, but hey, Warner Brothers is jumping on it.
I'm just gonna throw this out there right now. I just did a Google search on Warner Brother horror movies. I'm just gonna name off some of the IPs they have. Here we go. Beetlejuice, The Lost Boys.
Oh, yeah.
They had The Shining, Gremlins, Poltergeist, Exorcist, Interview with the Vampire, Gremlins 2, obviously Friday the 13th, Creepshow, Cujo. It just keeps going. Howling.
Wait a second. What was that dog's name?
Cujo.
I'll give you a pass this time.
I would be okay with a Creepshow house.
Creepshow would be awesome.
Annabelle.
How do you make Annabelle into a house?
I don't know, but I want Gremlins or Beetlejuice. That just you win. Give me either of those.
I would love a Beetlejuice house.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to Midsummer Scream. Paul and I, at least, so we'll be able to report back here on for Hauntsman, as well as our individual outlets for IOM Geek and Cheap Seats. We have media access for Midsummer Scream also, so hopefully we'll be able to get some folks cornered to talk a little bit more in detail about things. We have it out there. You have the Fright Fest stuff, like we mentioned. We have other areas like Slashback Video, which is kind of like a throwback. I keep kind of knocking this retro feel lately about everything, but I'm really looking forward to seeing the Slashback Video stuff. Urban Death, which is kind of a not for kids type of play that's taking place out there. And then we have the after party with Tom Holland from Child's Play, which I think it's really cool that there's that synergy, at least for us, with this East Coast Horror Nights, that Tom Holland will be out there, and meanwhile Chucky is a scare zone at Horror Nights here. So maybe we'll be able to corner him also.
Yeah, here's a nice guy. So, and there's so much that, Midsummer Scream. And this is no knock, and I know this is a horror podcast, and we're talking haunts. But, while Star Wars Celebration is expanding out to 5 days, the fact that Midsummer Scream is only 2 days seems like criminal to me. Like, there's so much I want to do in those 2 days. I want to spend as much time as possible in that Hall of Shadows, but they actually have some panels and stuff I want to see. I almost wish there was an extra day on that one. But, yeah, like you said, closer to time, we'll talk more about it, and obviously after the fact, we'll report in on our experiences. I don't think Busch Gardens has a presence at Midsummer Scream, probably because they're not out in California.
Yeah, it's more West Coast stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was the Howl-O-Scream. They announced last week this ridiculous deal. It's even cheaper than it was last year. So if you are not a pass holder, but you want to buy a ticket to the event for any night, it's $25. If you're a pass holder, it's $20.
Oh man,
It's such a good deal.
You said any night of the event, or is it? It's not just the first weekend.
It's not the first weekend.
That's crazy. Because I remember it's been years since I went to Howl-O-Scream, but the first weekend was always like their freaky preview, and it was like super cheap. But now that's an awesome deal.
Yeah, I actually just bought mine today for Busch Gardens, hoping we get media access again like we had last year. But yeah, it's a really. I mean, I think with a $25 pass with fees and tax, it ended up being like $33. But that's still a ridiculous deal. I mean, you got to get like the Fright Feast on top of that, of course. But that'd only be like $30 ish. So good deal.
I'm not sure this year if I'm going to do Fright Feast because the show was so bad last year that.
You're really going for the show.
Well,
yeah,
I would get just the Unlimited Express. I think would be a better option.
They have Unlimited Express. When I got Express the one year, it was just a punch card. And it was one. It was just like you get 6 punches and you can use them in whatever order you want.
Yeah, I think that's what I mean.
Yeah,
but at least you're expressing it one time each of those houses instead of.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that because if you do the Fright Feast with the early entry and the Express, you have to kind of rush.
Yeah, haul ass.
But, if you can get it done, if you know what you're doing, which I know you do, you can make it happen.
Yeah, I'm just checking again. It is any one night.
That's crazy.
$25, dude. You could buy a ticket for every night. So, like, kind of like the Universal Ultimate ticket. All 19 nights is $100 right now, right? $100 for 19 times going through. That's ridiculous to begin with. But then you could add Express on there, which is Express for every single night for another $100. So you go 19 nights, Express every single night for $200.
Are you talking about Howl-O-Scream or are you talking about Universal?
Howl-O-Scream.
Okay, so 200.
Not that I'm traveling to Tampa every event night, but I'm just saying that if you're in that area, like if I lived closer to Tampa than I do Orlando, I would most likely go to Howl-O-Scream more often than I do Halloween Horror Nights.
Oh yeah, Howl-O-Scream. I mean, you're gonna jump. Like they may not be as themed or have a big as budget as a Universal, but you will jump. You will get scared. It's that one's legit. I love it.
And so, by the way, that sale is only good for another 3 days, so it's good through the weekend.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this episode and you want to take advantage of that deal, hop on Howl-O-Scream, the website, ASAP.
And by the way, as far as Howl-O-Scream goes, it's funny because Howl-O-Scream is free in Virginia. That's where Paul goes as part of your ticket. And then this year, you kind of get our scraps from last year. So we had a couple of new houses last year that didn't work out so well. And I think I may have jumped the gun a little bit early, like when they had posted something and said, like, hey, which house is going away? And it was the zombie tag house. I can't remember the name of.
Zombie Containment Unit.
That's right.
Bye, Felicia.
So that did go away. But, I kind of already knew that Demented Dimensions was not going to return either. But
I like that one.
They made it official.
Demented Dimensions or Undead Arena Live?
No, well, Demented Dimensions is gone. That's shipped on a loading truck up to Virginia at this point.
They're setting that thing up in Virginia right now because we're getting Demented Dimensions in Williamsburg.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I like that one a lot.
It was like
that one was all right. It was, I think they ripped the hearts out of people like me that loved Zombie Mortuary.
Oh yeah, I like that one more, but.
And they replaced it, and I don't think it went over well. And the other game show house, Johnny, you just said the name. I can't remember the name of it.
Undead Arena Live.
It's like, don't say it out loud.
I don't think that one is sticking around either, but I haven't seen any confirmation of that.
They could just move that one to the dinner show and call it a day.
Yeah, the dinner show was awful last year, and that's why I was kind of trying to feel around to see like what they were going to do for entertainment during the dinner show this year, because that Illusionist last year or whatever was pretty bad. Zombie Tag gone, Demented Dimensions gone. Who knows what's going to come? I mean, it's not going to be an IP, so it's kind of like sit back and figure out like Where do they go?
What I like about Howl-O-Scream in Williamsburg and in Tampa is that what they lack in budget, they make up for in like genuine passion for the projects, right? Like they really put a lot of effort into the stuff, and they they don't have like the name properties. Like you're not going to see a Stranger Things house at a Busch Gardens park, but you'll see something inspired by Stranger Things that they'll just work their butts off to make sure it's as good as possible.
Is Bayou Bud back, or is that gone?
That's back. And then there's a couple of houses that are being tweaked that we know of year over year. So like a couple, that Unearthed house, I believe, is getting some TLC, as well as Motel Hell and I think one or two others. So
I think the Bayou Blood's worth $20 alone. That's just me.
Yeah, I love that house.
I also like the Pirate one, but I'm in a very, very small niche that actually likes that one.
I can't stand waiting for that house. It's so far away to get to with the express, even after the dinner thing, that you almost never hit it on the express, and then it's a house of disappointment when you're waiting on that line forever.
I like it.
Huh. I've heard. I have a little birdie told me that I think there's going to be a new house based on some like a hospital theme, like an evil hospital type thing.
That would be fun.
And then I have a sneaking suspicion, based on me watching a little birdie, that they may actually have an additional house. But don't quote me on that.
You heard it here first. Quote him. Hashtag breaking.
I like to watch little birdies.
Yeah.
I'm like looking at the Howl-O-Scream page though. I think that might be just copying Demented Dimensions at the other Howl-O-Scream, because they just built that house and they put a lot of money into it. So Howl-O-Scream isn't much for one and done houses, but we'll see. Let me do a little bit more research.
I know we're definitely getting it, and it seems to have the same concept. So,
and I think Attractions posted about it too already.
Yeah, I'll have to do some research because sometimes I miss things.
I'm on the Busch Gardens, Virginia Facebook fan page, and according to them, there's a Jason Bourne house coming there, Paul. So get ready.
Sweet.
my friend in creative.
We're getting Terminator 2 3D at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. Before we wrap up, we had a couple of folks reach out on Twitter, and one of the things I want to mention is that if you guys have any questions, feedback, comments, anything like that, you can hit us up on Twitter at 4Hauntsman. Use the hashtag Ask4H. If you have any questions, we'll answer them on the show, just like we are these. Just a couple of quick questions. The first one from the Irish Steeler. He says, I'm going to Orlando this year in September. I want to go to Halloween Horror Nights, but none of my family want to go. Is it an okay experience alone? I really want to go for Stranger Things and Killer Klowns. So,
who goes to that event alone?
I have.
I'm just kidding, dude. I'm there almost all the time by myself, unless you just kind of pick up people. But it's you're going to get an experience, and it's it's a shared thing. Like when people come out, just like in a movie theater, like when you go to a movie with somebody else, and necessarily, hopefully, you're not talking to each other throughout the movie, but afterwards you can experience and kind of talk to other folks about it. But as you go through, you're experiencing that stuff yourself. So.
Yeah, I mean it's you're not alone, right? You know the way those houses work. You're in the conga line. You're with groups of people, and honestly, what's the guy's name again? The Irish Steeler. Quite frankly, if you're afraid, if you don't want to go into the house alone, like sit at a bar, go to Toothsome or Finnegan's. You'll round up a group of friends to spend the rest of the night with.
Go ahead. I was gonna say. It could be even better going alone, because then there's no argument about where do you want to go next or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I even do that sometimes. Even now, I just have a night where I'm not hooking up with anybody, and I just want to go up and do what I want.
Yeah. And if you have an express pass and your friends don't, you don't have that argument.
Exactly. It's like I'm sorry you're poor.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to Martin Prideaux's question, because he was asking the same thing. What type of pass are you guys getting this year? Are you getting Express? Anyone getting Ultimate Fear? And same question from Scott Colwell. Guys, love the podcast. Do you think Express Pass is a nice to have or a must? So these kind of are similar questions. Well, I think we all made it clear. we're getting Express.
Yeah.
Just which one?
Yeah.
Well, I already bought my FrequentFare Plus with Express. I get that pass every year. Ultimate's too much. It's too much money, and you're basically giving away your whole haunt season to do one haunt. Like, do something else. Spend the money. That's my take on Ultimate. But some people do it because all they know and love is Universal, and they're afraid to wander out of their cave.
Yeah.
So
for me,
I did Ultimate a couple. Go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, for me, I don't live there, but if you go, I think if you go twice, at least twice, the Rush of Fear is worth it. So I'll probably do the Rush of Fear with Express, because if I go twice, it pays for itself. Like it's a small difference, but yeah, it pretty much pays for itself.
No, it's 20. Like my brother did it last year, and he's gonna do it again this year. He comes in from out of state. He gets that one with Express because it's actually $20 cheaper than just buying a ticket Express each night separately.
Yeah.
So doing so, I'll probably get the same one he gets, because my schedule's kind of weird because I'm a bartender. So obviously Friday, Saturday nights, I'm going to be working. Whatever one has the weekdays, but then the fact that end of October, I'm going to be MIA, even whether I'm in California or just trying to go do Screamageddon or things around here. So plus the lineup, I want to see it, but I just have a feeling, like after last year, and Kyle saw this, like I used my pass maybe 5 times out of how many days it was good for, so I just did not get my value out of the $400 I spent.
I've done Ultimate before. I won't do Ultimate again. I'm in the same boat as Johnny. I'll do the Frequent Fear Plus, so you get the Friday nights and Express.
Yeah.
That question, by the way, every time that we put this out there for anything, whether it's on a video or you put it on the podcast, you're always going to get that same question: is Express worth it? And it depends. Like, how much is your time worth it to you to spend in line? Yeah. Are you willing to spend 2 hours, 3 hours in line to get into a haunted house that's going to take you 35 seconds to walk through it?
Yeah, and then repeat that process 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For 10 houses, right? So 10 houses, if you're in an hour line for each house, you're not hitting it all in one night. And do you want to have to pay the cost of one night with Express is cheaper than having to go the number of nights you would have to go to hit all the houses, unless you hit it on like Thursday nights or Sunday nights throughout the event. There are ways to do it, but if you only have 1 or 2 days, Express is a must. Like Kyle said, how much is your time worth to you? Do you want to spend your time in line, or do you want to walk around Scarezones and see the shows? It's definitely a must-have for me. Show, singular. Sorry, show.
If I only had one night, like if I could only do Halloween Horror Nights one night out of the year, I would do a tour. I'd do a non-private tour group.
Yeah, that's definitely worth the money. It is worth the money.
Yeah, I've done those. A few times the last few years. But on the flip side of the Express Pass, the longer you wait until the October to go to Horror Nights, those Express lines back up significantly as well. So
last year was
sometimes
not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it was. I think they were just poorly managed. Like, I'm not really sure how they fixed that. It's like I'm sitting there in the Express line and I'm like, 10 people deep waiting to get in through Express, and they let like 50 normal people in. It's like, what did I pay for? So
I think the thing I noticed last year was so each one's good for one time, one night. If a group or crowds kind of following suit hitting up the same maze at the same time, that's a problem. But also the fact that they're selling those passes for half price after 10 p.m. Well, now you have a whole new wave of people trying to go through, and it's just backing everything up.
For me, the Express, of course, it's not perfect, but it's better than not having it.
Yes. And I run into your average HHN goer where they show up 4 hours early and do Stay and Scream and jump right into a house and, I did all the houses in 2 hours. I didn't even need Express. All right, cool. Good for you.
But that's a lot of damn effort. It is a lot of effort. And the casual fan, the guys who are reaching out to us on Twitter, asking questions are asking because they're not, those folks who have the map pre-written out on the, the thing, and, do the stay and scream and hop in.
What's a map?
Yeah. No, like, genuinely, if you want to enjoy yourself and not just be a mad scramble, get the Express Pass. Enjoy yourself. There's so much to see and do. I recommend it. I'm
going to answer both those questions at once. Go by yourself and just cut. That's like,
wow.
Just keep going up. Be like, hey, my Dave, and just keep walking. And there you go. So
done.
You're welcome.
Save the money.
Wow.
You heard it here first, host. #breaking. Well, full show. We were going to keep it to a half an hour, but you guys got more. All the hauntsmen you can handle.
All the haunts.
And then more.
Yes.
All right.
All right, guys. Any final notes?
No, I just thanks to Johnny again for coming in here, filling that fourth seat.
No problem. Anytime you need me.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. Make sure to hit us up on Twitter at 4hauntsmen, and leave feedback on our YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/4hauntsmen, and
also check out HauntScene.
And also check out HauntScene.
Thank you. HauntScene, HauntScene.com, HauntScene on Twitter, HauntScene on Instagram, HauntScene on Facebook. HauntScene everywhere.
Just type HauntScene, and it'll pop up one of the many options. But thanks again for being on the show, Johnny. Always a pleasure.
No problem. I love you guys. Keep it positive.
We love you too.
Catch you guys next time.